What's up guys, today I'm bringing you a home training Q&A video. So if you have any questions, put them in the comment section and you may even see a part 2. So without further ado, let's get started. Should we keep volume the same like in a normal gym workout if we do variation of bodyweight exercise in which we can do max 10 reps? A very good question. To that I would say yes. If we're matching the relative intensity, who cares if it's not weighted calisthenics? Take the one arm pull up. You might not be able to do 5 reps of that, or if you are able to, it becomes a classic 5x5. So in this way, the training effect's not gonna be that much different. Your body, there's no difference. Sure, there's more of a stabilization aspect, but at the end of the day, we're modifying the leverages. We're playing around with the movement such that it feels more difficult than it actually is. So yes, your actual body weight remains constant, but the leverages aren't. So from that alone, I would say, why not match it? Why not use the classic time-proven methods? 3 sets of 10, 5 sets of 10, 5x5, 3 sets of 3. Even doing a lot of singles and doubles depending on the movement difficulty, right? Like, if you're doing deficit handstand push-ups and you're struggling in the 6 to 10 range, or 10 reps is your absolute max, dude, that's perfect. That is the ideal scenario for calisthenics if you want to build muscle. Like, when you see my prisoner style workouts, a super high volume, that's compensation. That's compensation given the fact that the basics are a bit too easy. So we got to ramp up the volume, ramp up the frequency, make it so hard that your body weight is enough through something very simple. But in your case, you found a hard variation that's already set. That's your weighted calisthenics, bro. And you can periodize that very easily, just so you know. So one day, very high reps. Your classic 3 sets of 10. Hey, same template, man. You see my workout videos? You do 2 push, 2 pull, get some legs in there too, maybe a pistol squat and a bad good morning. There's your freaking home workout, right? Same template. Then another workout could be very high intensity. So you're picking a super difficult variation that you can only get 3 reps with. Basically, you're still manipulating percentages. You just don't know what your absolute 1 rep max is. But the relative intensity is rather similar regardless. And the total workload is going to be the same. So yeah, I would say absolutely. Why not match what you're normally doing with your weight training? Why not do 3 sets of 8 to 12 on a pull-up, slow and control with a pause on top? Why not? What are some things you wish you had for your home gym? For me, it would be a spot, do hyperextensions. Enjoy the videos, keep it up. Well, thank you, man. Well, in your case, I'd actually recommend the good mornings instead. Not only with a barbell, but also with bands. I think you'll find to be a very good hyperextension replacement. And it's what I do personally. That's one of the exercises that I missed for a long time. But after doing the good morning, I'm like, man, this is the real deal. So try that out. Now, in regards to what I actually missed or what I would improve upon, my setup's pretty complete, but you get greedy. When you're a home gym owner, you're always trying to improve your setup, not only for the viewing experience, but for gains, especially as someone who uses concurrent position. So I would probably have to get, and keep in mind, this is not necessary, a deadlift bar. I think it'd be very fun to experiment with that. In addition to a trap bar, although that holds up a lot of space. And then you can never go wrong in terms of low body training with a glute ham raise and a reverse hyperextension. Those 2 devices are absolutely fantastic, though, I don't know, I get pretty good gains with band leg curls, ankle weight leg curls, etc. And even my compound movements, in addition to Nordic leg curls if I want to go that route. So I suppose a reverse hyper would be more of a choice for me. Like, that's the one machine that I wouldn't mind buying because I'm not really a machine guy, but the reverse hyper, we're talking longevity. We're talking injury prevention while getting stronger at the same time. That would be my #1 piece of equipment, hands down. And in regards to whole cable stacks and all that, I think I would just get a basic one or maybe even do a DIY setup. I wouldn't have like those big stacks. Like, you know, when guys are doing the cable crossovers, they got these huge machines and everything. Like, nah, man. For me, I would just put something on top of the power rack, like in the back. And I could do some tricep push downs and some lat pull downs and seated cable row. That's normally what I do anyway for those movements. But then again, like, I got bands. I made a full video on cable substitutes and it gets the job done perfectly. You just got to know which tension to use. And I have a lot of experience with bands, so I know it works for me. And plus I use them at the end of my workout, so it tends to be more of a more or less weight scenario anyway. Besides that, I'd probably get another set of chains because right now I got 60 and then I could fold it in half and get 30 out of that. But I think with an extra pair, my gains would be even better. And then replacing my safety squat bar and Swiss bar. They're good as is. I don't really have a problem with them right now. But then again, I've never loaded like crazy weights on the SSB. So I don't know how much that can handle or how uncomfortable it may be. And the Swiss bar, it's good, but it rotates a lot. So would it make a big difference if I experimented with something a bit higher quality? Maybe. So maybe in the future, I'll end up selling these 2 things and investing in something a little bit more, you know? But right now it gets the job done. And the final thing will probably have to be calibrated plates. I don't know if I'll do that, but everything else I got. I recently got some adjustable Olympic dumbbells. I think that's gonna be fun. and I got an easy curl bar. But besides that, we're pretty good. If you have any recommendations, let me know. But I do a lot of shopping. I do a lot of looking around in regards to equipment. Like, this is what I do, bro. I love it. So hopefully you can benefit from what I said. Alex, do you think doing the pull-ups with the thumb over the bar, below the bar will affect the gripping strength, or does doing them either way carry over in the same way to your general gripping strength? Great question. I would say that regardless, you're gonna get carryover. Like, you can't eliminate the grip factor. Like, you're not using straps, right? And if you go really heavy or using the appropriate intensity, they're still gripping very hard, and you're gonna feel your forearms. They're gonna get a pump. It is what it is. Like, when you saw me do my 500 pull-up workout, most of my sets were done thumb over the bar. Guess what? My forearms were dead. They were cramping like crazy. That was the one area that I felt, not more than anything else, but I certainly felt it a lot, especially the biceps too. Like, that entire time, the forearm and bicep area, dude, it was dead. Because you can't take away the stimulation. It is what it is. Like, you're gripping on for a long period of time, you're gonna involve the forearms. You can't escape it, period. Now, is this superior to do a full grip? Probably. For forearm gains, I'm gonna say probably. But then again, the fact that you have to lower the weights a bit, is that a worthy trade-off? Is it getting more out of less weight, or does it even out? What are we dealing with here? In my experience of specializing in pull-ups for, I don't know, what's it been, like 2 years now? I don't see a huge difference in terms of grip strength development. Besides, you can always mix in both, or do your regular grip for supplemental work on the side, back off sets, right? So you max out with the thumb over, you do your heavy stuff, thumb over, right? Your class 3x10, thumb over. And then when you do some burnouts, do the full grip. But again, I don't think it makes a huge difference as some would claim. Is injury prevention a true concern by home workouts with all the joint stress from high volume pushups and pull-ups? If so, what can we do? Yeah, it is a definite concern. You still got to know what you're doing. You can't just throw in a bunch of movements and expect it to work. That's why I'm seeing a lot of fitness influencers, specifically on Instagram, posting workouts that's like, there's no way that you do this. I can tell right away, there's no way these guys train like that. It's just some random thing. And you can tell who knows about calisthenics versus those who are just getting into it right now because it's the end thing to do. There's a big difference. But rant aside, like, yeah, you got to use proper form. You have to pick the right exercise. You got to use an appropriate amount of volume for that given session, whatever it may be. There's always a method to the madness. And for one of my strategies, I like to rotate grips. So when you saw me do my 1,000 push-up workout, I'm not doing one style all the way through. You know, I go close, I go a little bit wide, I turn my hands out a bit. Same thing on the pull-ups. I'm not just doing one style. That prevents overuse. And I'm not going to do that exact same workout for weeks or months at a time. No, I'm going to rotate the variations. I'm going to modify the sets and reps a bit. Like, you don't just do one thing over and over and over again. That's how you get overuse when it comes to weight training. So why would not apply? Do you think the biological law of accommodation is exclusive to lifting weights? No. It applies to all other sports as well, man. In running, we call it the speed barrier. So you can override it through manipulation of sets, reps, percentages, templates, etc. Basically, dude, you can watch all my videos on regular programming for weight training and apply that to calisthenics. Apply that to home workouts. It's the exact same premise. You don't keep repeating the exact same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And you got to use proper form as well. Injury prevention is a definite concern, and you have to maximize your program 100%, especially if you're going to be doing things like rings or advanced variations in which you're getting low repetitions. If you don't think you can't get snapped up doing low reps in calisthenics, you might be in for a rude awakening, just saying. Any leg training challenge like the push-up or the pull-up ones? Well, I actually just did the 30 down leg workout, prisoner style. And I've gotten great feedback on it so far. A lot of you guys actually tried it out. You're like, dude, I can't even walk, man. And you know what? It was the same thing for me, bro. The leg downs was insane. So I'm actually really happy with myself. And I think I'm going to keep doing it, to be honest with you. Even after this quarantine shit's over, I'll use it once in a while, you know? Maybe a few times a month or whatever, because it's a really good workout. It's actually badass. And I can only imagine how good your development would be if you could do 50 down squats or even going past that bonus. That's why I want to start it with 30 down as a baseline template. This way you work your way up. So you start 30, 31, 32, 33. You keep going. And that's it. I don't know how many high volume challenges I would do for legs personally. You also got my full body psychotic, showed you pistol squats and box jumps. So if I do anything more, I don't know if it's going to be high volume specifically because I already instructed you. Well, I'm going to do a 50 down squat workout. It's going to be the exact same thing. No difference. I already showed you how to do it. So I think from this point forward, I'm going to show you extra stuff that you could do. That's not like zero equipment, you know? I'm going to show you stuff with bands, sandbag, some high intensity variations, stuff like that. I don't think I'm going to do like high volume challenges for the legs. Or if I do, it'll be more on the lunging side, you know? But we'll see what I could pull up. But yeah, I gave you the base one. And I think you have a lot to work with that. When doing the 500 push-up workout video, how often can you do it throughout the week? Can it be done every 40 to 72 hours? Yeah, it could be, man. There are some prisoners who do that amount of volume on a daily basis every single day. Now, granted, it's a different lifestyle, different circumstances, and not all of them do that. Some guys actually follow push-pull legs template. But the ones who are seriously jacked, the ones with the best physiques, they're doing that on a frequent basis. Now, would I do that personally? Probably not, unless I had no equipment. But I have weights here. I have things to experiment with. And it's not weights, there's other variations that you can use. So I don't think I would do that every single day. I don't even think I would do that every other day. For me, a 500 to 1,000 push workout, 1-2 times a week is fine. Let's just stick to what works in weight training. Let's keep it the same thing, right? It's a lot of volume. We know it's a lot of volume. Okay, 2-3 times a week tops. You're going to get a good training effect. That's what I recommend, man. Hello, Alex. Lower back exercises without equipment other than the Superman. Thanks. Well, you can do bodyweight good mornings for very high reps, but you have to do 50 to 100 for that. Actually, 100 might be your norm, just saying. In addition to bodyweight reverse hyper. So lean over a table and get to work with that. Actually, Fitness FAQs made a good video on that. But I'm not really a fan of those no equipment lower back movements. Like, you're going to get a training effect, obviously, but in no way is that comparable to using simple bands. Like, stand on top of a band, do some band good mornings. You're going to get a really good pump, and you can actually build some good muscle with that, especially if you got the right tensions. So that would be my number one choice, hands down, even doing reverse hyper with bands. Why would I not add resistance for reverse hyper? I can do it with ankle weights, bro. I can do it with a band. Like, it may not be crazy tension, but it's better than nothing, right? So yeah, I think you should find other ways to train your lower back to get superior results. Could you show us your warm-up before starting the workout? So my warm-up is just the same exercise done for low reps. So before I did the 30 down squat workout, I did like 2 sets of 10 on the bodyweight squat. And I did a slow tempo and everything, and that was it. That's all I had to do, because the squat is the workout. For my push-up thing, I did push-up off the knees, or just do 1 set of 10 or 2 sets of 10. Like, same thing as your weight training. And if you're doing advanced variations, well, you start with the easy thing first. So my pistol squat, I warmed up with my body weight. I did a few sets of that, and then I threw on the backpack. So there's really nothing complicated about it. I didn't do any stretching. I didn't do any dynamic stuff. The warm-up is definitely the fastest part. Like, you should be done after 5 minutes easy. Even less than that, I would say. Hey, Alex, when doing diamond push-ups, I can't keep my hands flat on the ground. It hurts my wrist. My wrist also hurt when doing incline push-ups. I've been trying to improve my wrist flexibility, but I'm not sure what I should be doing. Also, would fist versions of diamond, incline, and other variations work as well? Substitutes? Yeah, they would. Why wouldn't they? You might feel your knuckles more than your wrist, but it doesn't change anything, man. Like, it's the same movement pattern, same musculature involved. Now, in terms of what you could do about the wrist pain, you can check out my injury prevention playlist. I made a video on wrist and forearm pain. It talks about all that stuff, right? And then I know that Fitness FAQs made some good videos on that. But to me, if you're getting serious wrist pain when doing push-ups of any type, that's a problem. There's an underlying cause that needs to be addressed. And right now, like, you're getting away with it with the fists and maybe even parallettes if you have access to that. That's masking the problem, which is not a bad mask. We might even call it superior to the regular version. Like, the less stress on the joints, the better, right? I'm all for it, bro. I would even do it. But my problem is that you can't do regular push-ups without the pain. And that needs to be addressed. So check out the resources that I'm talking about and keep doing what you're doing. But eventually you want to know for yourself, just for you, that you're not getting pain from push-ups. Because weaknesses can hurt you over time. What exercise I can do for my connective tissue, my legs, quads, and hamstrings by bands? You can do band terminal knee extensions for your quads, band leg curls. So lie down on the floor, attach the band to your feet, and just do the exercise as normal. Very high repetitions. Actually, 4 sets of 25 works very well. And then you can do the sumo stomp. So take a band, put on top of a pull-up bar, and start stomping on it. High rep that, bro. That's what I'm gonna recommend you do. The best way to maintain deadlift strength with limited weights. Okay, so limited does not imply 0 weights, right? In that case, the best thing is gonna be the standard good morning. What do you have? 95 pounds on an Olympic bar? Perfect. Do 5 sets of 20, good morning, full range of motion with that weight. I think you'll find it to be quite challenging. Most of you won't even be able to do it. That's real talk, with proper form, that is. Because someone who can is going to be a very strong deadlifter automatically. The good morning is a lot more difficult given the moment arms. That's how it is. Like, I'm in the 500s. I would say mid to high fives. You saw me do 565, easy sumo, wasn't a problem. Probably could have done more, right? So I'd say I'm probably a little bit under 6. I don't know what I could do right now. But the most weight that I've used in 2020 for good mornings is 155 pounds. And I'll do 3 to 5 sets of that. Could probably lift a little bit more than that, but I don't see myself doing 185 with strict form. Real talk. And on my volume days, I often do sets of 20 with 95 or 115. Actually, 135, I can get some high reps too. I would say around 15 if I'm trying to keep it really clean. So that's all you gotta do, bro. High rep good mornings, it'll maintain you, let me tell you. Thoughts on weighted ring training? Well, standard ring training is already difficult in itself, so I don't see why you would add weights to it unless you're very, very good at them. I think it's a mistake to do that too soon. Like when I first started doing gymnastics, as I called it back then, I started with weighted dips on the rings. That was definitely a mistake because my form looked like absolute garbage. I was shaking all over the place and it didn't resemble a proper ring dip. And even after dropping it down completely, do my body weight, man, like it's hard to do proper form on that, especially if you're doing RTO dips. So instead of going with the weights right away, why not get good at rings? Most people have atrocious form and they're not even past the basic progression. So why are you gonna take a basic progression and add weights to it automatically? Like, yeah, it's gonna work. I'm all for weighted calisthenics, one of the greatest supporters of it, I would say, right? In terms of a guy who actually lifts. Still, you should move on to the progressions. Like you may find that from going to progression 1 to 2, that in itself is good enough to keep you in the 10 range or whatever intensities you're trying to strive for, right? So I would say once you get past a certain point, then you can start adding the weights. But first get that base, man. Like if you're already doing advanced moves, okay, fine. Keep it basic, add weights. But if there's a lot more moves to experiment with, go with those, man. Like trust me, you won't have to do weights for that. Do you recommend dip bars you can attach to a power rack? Have a great day. Yeah, I do, man. Like mine actually came with a power rack, so I'm very grateful for that. The only thing is you have to make sure that your rack is either bolted down or you got 2 barbells on each side. And actually there have been times where I had to stop doing the lift because the rack was shaking too much or the exercise became way more difficult than it had to be. First time I did 225 on this, bro, it was shaking like crazy. It sounded like a damn washing machine. And when I did my 230 PR very recently, I felt the shakiness as well, even though I had put weights on both sides. So you got to be aware of that. It's not going to be as stable as a proper dip station. But then again, if you're not hitting crazy numbers, if you're not hitting 5 plates and more, you're probably going to be fine. Like I only really notice that when I go, say above 4 plates. Actually, no, when you hit about 4, that's when it starts shaking like crazy. But like I said, I'm not bolted down. But yeah, it's definitely a great investment. It doesn't take much space and you can just shove them in, the weight tree? They have those things that stick out the bottom where you can place your barbells and stuff. Well, that's where you put your dip handles, man. So I consider them more valuable in terms of storage compared to parallettes, and they're probably more stable in parallettes too. Would you feel comfortable doing 5 plates on just standard parallettes that are up? Like at least on the rack, it's secure. Yeah, it's gonna shake a bit, but it's secure. What do you think about jump roping for cardio? One of the best methods for sure, man. Like if you just did 10, 20 minutes of jump rope every single day, I think it'd be very fit and pretty good at running too. This is what a lot of boxers have done, man. It's time proven. It works. There's not much for me to say. Jump rope's the real deal. I recommend it 100%. Otherwise, if it's too hard for you, try rebounding, man. Get yourself a trampoline, get to work. Or just imaginary jump rope. Pretend you have one, jump in one spot. Yeah, you're not going to go wrong with that. Might I say that it also acts as a form of nucleus overload? So do it, man. What is your recommended method of reaching the planche? Well, I can't actually do a proper one. You see me do the bent arm version with an anterior pelvic tilt, but if we're talking fully locked, posterior pelvic, all the way forward, I can't do that correctly. Like I haven't trained for that specifically, but my advice would be to get very strong at all forms of weighted calisthenics. So your weighted dips, your weighted pushups, your handstand pushups, get the base level strength first. This way it's easier to progress into skill work and then start doing the progressions, man. Look at Fitness FAQ's video. He has a whole guide on how to get your planche. Look at all the guys who specialize in this department. There are courses on learning the planche. It's just about going from one progression to the next. But I believe that this process can be skyrocketed if you're already strong. So I'm always going to recommend that you build up those muscles first before going on to skill work. I think a lot of guys are doing skill work too early on without having any muscle mass. And that's just going to take way longer. Yeah, it's going to work. Obviously, that works. But it's slower, man. I bet I can learn the planche faster than most people. Simply because I have a 230-pound weighted dip. Just off that alone, bro. And other variations that you see me do on this channel. I think that my strength foundation is going to make it easier to learn it. And I won't have to start with the most basic progressions. I could skip some steps. And the skipping's not bad because the strength's already there. So that's my advice. Why is my neck curl not increasing fast? I have a 13-inch needle neck. Okay, 13 inches. I'm going to imagine that you're a very skinny guy. And in that case, it probably has to do with the fact that you are not eating a lot of food. If you have a 13-inch neck, What else is 13 inches? Your arms? Could it be that everywhere is not that jacked? Or maybe you have really bad neck genetics. It could be that you're a very muscular guy everywhere else, but then you got this little pencil neck. Man, I feel bad for you in that case. But regardless, everyone has different progression. Most people that I know, most people who do neck training, the full thing, not just neck curl, by the way, but neck extension, neck sideways, proper volume, say 4 sets to 25 on all three, right? They get results. Their neck increases fast. It goes from 13 to 16. We see this all the time. Now, what do you define as fast? How long have you been training your neck? Could it be that you started off with a 12.5-inch neck? Could it be you already gained muscle mass and you don't even realize it? Could it be that you measured at different points? I don't know. It's a bit of a vague question, but I suspect that it has to do with you not eating a lot of food. This is what I see majority of cases. At least guys who have the smallest neck sizes. Like when you're in the 13 range, typically speaking, it's a food issue. Can grease in the groove method all day replace all work in one workout? Probably. I wouldn't call it superior, but it's definitely a great strategy for increasing your workload. Like if you're doing 100 pull-ups a day, just broken up throughout the day, 10 pull-ups every hour. After 10 hours, you got 100, and that's 700 pull-ups a week. You don't think that's going to help you out in the long run in terms of overall conditioning and raising your grip strength and even your back performance? It's all synergistic, but is that superior to doing it all in one session? I'm not convinced that it is, because the intensity is going to be a lot lower in that case. It's not the same as doing one workout where you're really struggling. Like 10 by 10 is not the same as doing 10 pull-ups every hour. Not at all. So I know you're going to get results, but I don't know if it can fully replace it in terms of matching the gains. Just because the total workload is exactly the same at the end of the week doesn't mean that you're getting the same effect, because the workout itself is more intense. You're more tired, you're more drained, you're getting closer to failure. There's different factors to consider here, you know? So try it out. One guy that I know would do push-ups and pull-ups every hour to failure. Another dude, he wasn't that jacked, but he had a pretty good physique. He looked good. This is what he did. He doesn't even do regular training. He does exclusively grease in the groove. And there's other guys who have talked about this before me. I recommend you do more research on it and, of course, get some experience with it. But I won't replace it 100%, even though you will get gains with it. What's your opinion on deficit push-ups with weights? Is it safe and can increase my bench strength? Thank you in advance. Well, I would say it's safer than a weighted dip. Probably safer than a camber bar bench. Your body's moving through space. There's no scapular restriction, so I like that. Will it increase your bench? 100% yes. Why would it not? Pretty much the same movement. And if you're doing 3 sets of 10, if you found enough weight to get that done, that's fantastic. Actually, with the deficit push-up, a lot of guys put a weight belt on their chest and they suspend a little bit of weight. Yeah, it's going to work, man. Why would it not? That's the question you should be asking. Why would it not work? Are there any ways for hitting calves effectively at home? Yeah, man. Nucleus overload every single day, high volume. And also one-legged calf raises. Stand on something. It could be a freaking chair if you want. Get a nice stretch. Pause at the bottom for a long period of time. Do the slow and control, one leg at a time. I think you get a great training effect from that. So high volume plus the one-legged calf raises, you're going to be just fine. And also do a lot of cardio outside, bro. Do some running, do some sprinting. Maximize your program, which can easily be done at home. Like there's no excuses for that. How would you turn a straight doorway pull-up bar into a one-way neutral grip option? My first thought was to buy gymnastic rings and hang them from the bar, but I'm curious to hear if you have any better solutions. Well, that will definitely work. But another thing that you could do is attach soft ties. See these things, man, you can get a pack of 12 for $5. And they have a very high weight capacity. They're not gonna rip on you or anything. A lot of guys use this as a home safety setup, even DIY straps. So that's definitely recommend you could do your neutral grips with that. And the best part is that you can modify it. You can go really close, really wide. Just get 2 of them and you're perfect, man. And if you want to get more finger strength, you can also try the eagle loops. You see me do one finger with that, but you can use it for regular neutral grip pull-ups. It's fantastic for that. Or rings, whatever you want. All right, last question of the week. Are bench dips with feet elevated on the platform, bad for shoulders? Would it be safe to put weights in my lap while doing them? Well, that's not an exercise I recommend doing weighted. And I feel like if guys just did high volume with low rest intervals, they'd realize that, yeah, it's hard enough already. I used to do that before my bro arm workouts. I would start off with that. I think I used to do 10 sets of 10, but with 10 seconds of rest every single time. You get a crazy tricep pump and you don't need to go stupid heavy on that lift. Like guys who are putting 4 or 5 plates on their lap, why are you doing that, man? If anything, just perform a regular weighted dip. It's much safer. It's much more feasible. Why are you going to do a weighted bench dip? I don't see the purpose personally when there's other ways to get gains, especially if you modify the leverages of the lift itself. So I think if you go very heavy on the exercise, definitely can be problematic on the shoulders, and even the nature of the regular movement, probably not the best for you. But there is a simple hack. If you rotate out your hands say like this, or even supinated, minimizing the shoulder strain. And this is something that Athlete X actually talks about. He prefers the supinated version. I've tried that, and for me, it feels freaking weird, man. I'm not a fan of that particular style, but I definitely like it when you turn out the hands a bit right here. And I've done that for push-ups too, by the way, so you can try that out. But no, like heavy weighted bench dips, not something I personally recommend. But body weight, high volume, with the hands a bit out, go ahead, you'll love it very much. So that said, guys, we're done this Q&A video. Like I said, if you got more questions, put them in the comment section, and maybe I'll give you one more before all this quarantine stuff ends.